Imagine a world where your groceries cost more, your favorite gadgets double in price, and global trade grinds to a halt, all because of a trade war between two superpowers. Today, we're diving deep into Trump's trade war with China, what it means for America, how it impacts the world economy, and why experts warn it could trigger a global recession. But is there a method to the madness? Or are we walking into a self-made economic storm? Let's break it all down. When President Donald Trump launched a trade war with China, he claimed it was about bringing back American manufacturing jobs lost over the past 30 years. The goal? Make America's economy less dependent on China, revive domestic industries, and punish what he called unfair Chinese trade practices. On paper, it sounds like economic patriotism, but this isn't just about jobs or the price of sneakers. This is a clash between two economic giants, the United States and China, that could reshape global power dynamics for decades to come. Jason Furman, Harvard professor and former economic advisor to President Obama, warns that this moment might end up in future history books, not for its economic gains, but for how it undermined America's global standing. Let's get real. The International Monetary Fund and top economists around the world are waving red flags. The IMF recently revised global growth projections downward, stating that Trump's tariffs are dragging the global economy. While we're not technically in a recession yet, if this continues, we might be heading straight for one. Economists say this could shrink the U.S. economy, trigger massive inflation, push millions into poverty, undermine U.S. influence globally. As America imposes up to 245% tariffs on Chinese imports, China retaliates with 125% tariffs on U.S. goods. The result? Higher prices, disrupted supply chains, and economic uncertainty that has ripple effects everywhere, from Wall Street to your local grocery store. Tariffs are often sold as a tool to hurt foreign producers. But the truth? Consumers pay the price. From aluminum foil to kids' toys and cheap fashion, everyday essentials are getting more expensive. Why? Because there's simply no quick substitute for China's manufacturing power. As Zongyuan Zoe Liu from the Council on Foreign Relations puts it, there's no alternative in the short term. And it's low-income Americans who suffer most. They rely more on affordable imported goods. According to Yale's Budget Lab, the average U.S. household could lose up to $4,689 in disposable income due to these tariffs. That's a huge hit for families already struggling with rent, gas, and groceries. Trump promised that jobs and factories would roar back. But here's the problem. Manufacturing today is highly automated. Many Americans don't want to work in low-wage factory jobs. Raw materials like steel and semiconductors are still imported. Even if factories return, they'll likely use robots, not people. As one expert pointed out, a Chinese food factory that used to employ 200 workers now operates with just 5, thanks to automation. Plus, branding and retail in the U.S. often generate more value than the physical production overseas. As it stands, the U.S. still benefits significantly from globalization. Tariffs disrupt more than just consumers. They wreak havoc on businesses. Companies relying on global supply chains are reeling. Manufacturers are now forced to rethink where and how they source parts. This is risky and expensive. Stan Vuger from the American Enterprise Institute notes that many businesses are pausing investments due to policy unpredictability. Why build a factory here, he says, if you don't know what imports will cost tomorrow? Farmers, meanwhile, are caught in the middle. They've lost major Chinese buyers and are now dependent on government bailouts. And let's not forget, even Mexico and Canada, our North American trade partners, have been slapped with tariffs. That's not exactly how you build economic alliances. The Trump administration dreams of decoupling from China. But is that even possible? Let's look at the facts. The U.S. and China make up 43% of global GDP. China supplies rare earth metals, electronics, textiles, the list goes on. The two economies are deeply interwoven. If trade collapses, two parallel supply chains may emerge. One for China, one for the U.S. But that kind of separation is painful, expensive, and messy, especially for tech companies that rely on Chinese components. And remember, even Trump had to exempt electronics from some tariffs because the U.S. simply couldn't afford to cut off supply. If this trade war escalates, consumers will face long-term inflation. businesses will struggle with supply chain instability. U.S. stray global influence may continue to erode. China may gain stronger trade ties with countries in Asia, Africa, and Europe. Already, countries are exploring trade alternatives without the U.S. That's a big warning sign. Meanwhile, economists across the board agree there is no clear winner, not China, not the U.S. Everyone loses in a prolonged, chaotic trade war. So what should the U.S. do? 1. Rebuild trust with allies. Unity in global trade is power. 2. Invest in future-proof industries, AI, biotech, clean energy. 3. Encourage smart reshoring. Bring back key industries, but use tech and incentives. 4. Negotiate from strength, not chaos. Predictability builds economic confidence. Tariffs alone won't save manufacturing. We need a comprehensive, forward-looking strategy that blends trade, innovation, and global cooperation. What do you think? Can America thrive without China, or are we risking economic disaster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more deep dives into world events that shape our future. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.